Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again with another video. Today guys, Lucasfilm has officially confirmed the cast listing for Star Wars Episode 9, which at this point is still currently untitled. My guess is late in the year, or possibly they'll just wait till 2019 to give us that official title. But we have cast listing stuff to talk about, some really exciting stuff, some interesting stuff, and a lot of speculation. So without further ado guys, let's jump into it now. Let's start off with the actual wording of this, how they open up this information, how they open up this press release, if you will. Star Wars Episode 9 cast announced, which makes sense. Returning and new cast members will join together for the final installment of the Skywalker saga, which makes sense because I've always speculated, and a lot of people have as well, 10, 11, and 12 will eventually happen. A new trilogy after 9 will eventually happen because regardless of the responses from fans, because 7 was very successful, 8, regardless of the reception, was also very successful. This trilogy so far has been very successful for Lucasfilm and Disney as a whole. So, at a point, my guess is within a few years, maybe even longer than that, maybe 10 plus years, who knows, 10, 11, 12 will happen. Introducing new characters, but also keeping the characters they introduced within this trilogy to continue forth into 10, 11, 12. That's my theory. So, with this being the final Skywalker saga, that means when 10, 11, and 12 eventually happen, a new trilogy after this, they won't call it the Skywalker saga. It's going to continue with Poe, Rey, Finn, all these other characters they've introduced that survived through the trilogy. They'll continue with them so we can have more stories with these characters. That's been my guess, and we've been kind of theorizing that once 9 is over, that's it for Skywalker Saga. They're moving on. They've kind of stated that, but you never know. Things could change. But it's interesting how they worded it there. So we have official confirmation, final installment of the Skywalker Saga. Now, they're going to begin shooting on August 1st, which there was a report going around saying they were going to start shooting this week, which apparently is wrong because they're going to wait till August 1st to start shooting this film. And of course, J.J. Abrams is returning as director. And this is interesting because when he was announced to come back to finish the trilogy for Episode 9, people were kind of divided. And I think people have grown more on this because, I mean, if you look at Episode 7, yes, there are quite a few similarities to A New Hope, but I feel like there's enough differences that makes it stand out on its own, and I personally don't connect it to a lot to A New Hope. Yes, there are some points, some beats that follow A New Hope. I think there's enough differences to make it stand on its own. So I'm excited to see how he's gonna handle this. And the fact is, with the cast we're about to get to, the returning cast, and all this kind of stuff, and a really surprising thing that I'm really happy about that we'll get to in a second, I think this movie will be very special, and I hope it will be because it just sounds like it's going to be a great way to conclude this trilogy. Now, continuing on to the cast. So returning cast members, of course, this is not surprising at all. Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Lupita Nyong'o. I'm bad with names, so sorry if I start butchering stuff. Donald Gleason, Kelly Marie Tran. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name, but my guess is this guy starting with Joonas. I'm guessing that is the new actor playing Chewbacca. I'm not really sure, but that's just my guess. And Billie Lourd, who is Carrie Fisher's daughter, who first appeared in Episode 7, and then was also in 8 as well. Joining the cast of Episode 9 are Naomi Aki, probably butchering that last name, very sorry, and Richard E. Grant. Now, I've seen pictures of these two people online when this announcement came out. I'm not really sure who they are, don't recognize them, but regardless, it's exciting to hear new people are joining Episode 9. Who will be joined by veteran Star Wars actors? Here's the big one. Mark Hamill is back as Luke Skywalker. In what capacity? Let's speculate in a second. Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, it's been a long day. And Billy Dee Williams, who will reprise his role as Lando. Official confirmation. It's exciting to hear that Billy Dee Williams is back. I'm curious to know what role he's going to have because I always thought, okay, maybe he's in 7 and it's a secret little thing and they've kind of hid it away. Nope, wasn't in 7. Oh, maybe he's in 8. Maybe he's doing this. No, not in 8 either. So I'm curious to know, are they going to explain where he's been at for these 2 episodes and what's going on with this character? Of course, they'll have to, but I'm curious to see where he's been at for all this time when the First Order has been stepping up. Like, where has he been at? Has he been captured? Is he off on a desolate planet, kind of like what Luke was doing? Or maybe he's just somewhere to where we haven't reached him yet until this episode. Mark Hamill returning is causing a lot of people to speculate one or two things. One, the most popular opinion is Force Ghost, which makes sense because Rey at the end of Last Jedi has the old ancient Jedi text, and it would make sense that a Force Ghost Luke and possibly a Force Ghost Yoda and a Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi, possibly, but we know for a fact Mark Hamill is back as Luke Skywalker, that maybe a Force Ghost Luke will be there and help her rebuild the Jedi, or rebuild the Jedi in her own way, but he'll be there to help guide her. Who knows? Also, another crazy theory, which is the second thing, is that, well, the metal arm didn't fall when he disappeared, when he transported, so people are speculating he transported somewhere. He just traveled somewhere, so he's not dead. I don't know about that theory. If that is true and it ends up that Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, sorry, it's I'm getting mixed up. My voice is going to shit. I had a long day. If he really transported himself, that's gonna be they're gonna have to really explain that. I mean, we already saw how powerful he was in The Last Jedi, but my guess is it's a Force ghost, Luke. But regardless, I'm glad that they announced Mark Hamill is back. It's awesome. So his character's not done, regardless of how he returns. His character, his story is not over just yet. Now, here is the thing that I felt that is really, really special, and I'm so glad that they're confirming this. The role of Leia Organa will once again be played by Carrie Fisher. Using previously unreleased footage shot for Star Wars The Force Awakens, we desperately love Carrie Fisher, says Abrams. Finding a truly satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga without her eluded us. We were never going to recast or use a CG character. With the support and blessing from her daughter, Billie Lourd, we have found a way to honor Carrie's legacy and role as Leia in Episode 9 by using unseen footage we shot together in Episode 7. Now, this is interesting because this never mentioned Last Jedi footage. Because, as we all know, when you shoot a movie, you shoot stuff that's never going to be seen, that's never going to see the light of day. It's always going to be on the cutting room floor. People will never see it. It'll be in a vault somewhere. We'll never see it. The fact is, they're only using Force Awakens, which kind of tells me that regardless of how you feel about Last Jedi, J.J. Abrams is looking at what he shot with Leia in Episode 7 right now. Now, this could change. They could still use stuff from Episode 8. Who knows? But he's looking at stuff that they shot for Episode 7 that could work in the story of Episode 9. I don't know what this means, because people are already commenting, how is this going to work? Like, if she shot stuff for Episode 7, how is it going to work in Episode 9? Your guess is good as mine. But the fact is, they said, we're never going to recast, and we're not going to use a CG version of Leia, which I think is smart. Now, if they would have went a CG Leia for some thing or whatever, hypothetically, if they would have went down that road, we saw how Tarkin was in Rogue One, and that was a few years ago, and it looked really good in my personal opinion. I knew once I started seeing him, that's not really Tarkin, but it looked real enough. But maybe it just would have felt too weird for Leia because Carrie Fisher passed away a few years ago versus oh god, I forget, Peter Cushing, who played Tarkin all those years ago, passed away back in the 90s, so it's a different situation. So I'm not really sure, but the fact is they're finding a way to keep her in the story. They're finding a way to have her character, be in the final installment of the Skywalker saga and find a way to gracefully, have her story concluded. I'm not sure what this means. I'm curious about what stuff they shot for Episode 7 that was not used. I'm curious. But it's nice the fact that they found a way to bring Carrie back. I really appreciate that. This is pretty big stuff. This really is, because with them announcing the Carrie Fisher stuff, I mean, we kind of speculated they were going to find some way to have her in Episode 9, but the way they've kind of explained it, they're using unseen footage. Mark Hamill coming back. I mean, I think they're doing this because if they would have done this cast announcement, not include Mark Hamill, it probably would have leaked somehow. I don't think it would leak from set, but if Mark Hamill was seen around the area where they're shooting, it would have been kind of obvious that he was shooting Episode 9. I mean, we all speculated he would return anyways, but it's nice to know that they're not hiding the fact that he's returning, obviously not telling us why he's returning or how he's returning, but the fact that he is, I think, is a pretty good move. It just seems that nowadays the Star Wars fandom is kind of divided on a lot of things, and I hope that this movie can kind of bring us all back together. I understand there's people that have legit issues with Last Jedi. I'm not saying that, you don't have legit reasons. I just see people who have legit reasons to dislike The Last Jedi and people who just have no real good reason to dislike Last Jedi. They just hate it because of Rian Johnson and stuff. Like, I understand that. I personally like the film. I personally enjoyed The Last Jedi. Yes, there are issues, but I still enjoy the film. It's okay. But I hope that this film, with this cast and what it looks like they possibly might be doing to kind of conclude the saga, I'm hoping this film will bring us back together, because honestly, the Star Wars fandom right now is divided, and I hope that we can rebuild it, because it's pretty toxic. Not everybody's toxic, clearly, but there are some Star Wars fans that are just really toxic, and they attack anybody who liked The Last Jedi because they hate it so much. it's ridiculous. So I hope that this episode 9 will bring us all back together, loving Star Wars and continuing to love Star Wars. I hope that's the case. But there you have it, guys. That's what's going on. Star Wars Episode 9 information. It's really exciting. I'm really excited for it. And I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you like the fact that Billy Dee Williams coming back as Lando? I hope so. And what do you think about Mark Hamill? What is your speculation on how Mark Hamill is returning? And are you excited for Leia to return as well? Carrie Fisher, unused footage from Episode 7. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below, guys. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.